Hey everybody, welcome back to another War of the Visions video. Today we're going to be talking about TMRs as well as some Visiore spending plans of mine. This is something that I've been thinking a lot about because one of the most enjoyable parts about War of the Visions and also one of the most difficult parts is planning how to use your resources, and the two most constricting resources are the rainbow fragments and the Visiore that you spend on pulling units and buying shards. So I've been trying to plan very carefully how I want to proceed on this account, and a big part of that has been around trust masters. So I'm part of a pretty high level guild, but I am not like one of the bruisers in the guild. I'm definitely more of an assist type guy, but I have to build my team super carefully in order to contribute the best I can. And one of the issues I was having was with my trust masters. So this is what I have for my guild battle right now, and I've gotten to a place where I feel really good having a certain trust master set up. So for example, with Victoria here, I've got Mont's trust master, and this actually helps her stay back 1 to 2 more turns, so she can actually let Mont go forward first, take a blow, run up behind him, and then jump on an enemy, whereas Ramza has less to think about with an accessory TMR that doesn't have a skill on it. And then finally over here we've got Mont with a weapon TMR, which opens up more options for armor and for accessories, whereas when you have an armor or accessory TMR, you have to basically have a weapon or 2 accessories or something, so it gives you less options. This is really good for tanking, and this is a decision I made recently, was to go for Gafgarian's TMR. So before we talk about my planning, we're going to talk a little bit about what I do have available to me. So I did recently add a new TMR to my collection, but we'll go through them all in order here. I've got Mons right there, the line emblem. Now, I'll give you my thoughts on the types of TMRs as well. So accessories are really great because a lot of the stuff that we're crafting these days is armor and weapons. So you definitely don't want to take up one of those slots if you can help it. So getting a good accessory is really nice, and there's 2 types of accessories that you really want to be looking for, and one of those is an accessory with an ability and accessories without abilities, or at least abilities that don't share the buff with party members. So for example, with the lion emblem, you're going to get rallying cry, and a lot of units AIs will try to get them to go to your party members continuously to cast this, and it can really mess up the way that you set up your party for battle. So for example, in the Wastelands PvP, I need to have Victoria with the Boxer's badge because it doesn't have a TMR ability. Because she doesn't have any buff to share with her teammates, she runs right off the cliff and towards the enemy to go jump on them. If I give her the lion emblem, she'll hold back. And sometimes it's a good thing, like I said in guild battle. So you want to have access to different TMRs to affect the behavior of your units, let alone just the stats that they might give you. So with the accessory TMRs, you want to have some access to stats that you might not get otherwise, which is why I ended up getting the Boxer's badge for Etra, because it would give crit and agility, which are 2 great stats that are not on a lot of my other pieces of equipment. This is a really solid piece on Victoria and on Ryru, so I definitely enjoy that. Moving on to armor pieces, this is a tricky one for me because I've got some gold armor, I've got mithril dodge armor, and I've even got a plus 5 iron plate that's got the 15 defense in your slash attack resist. So I want to keep those on if possible, which means you're not going to be using armor as often. So things like Ramza's outfit, this has got really great HP, it's got okay defense, and it's got crit evade, but it also has Entrust, which is a buff that can be used on your party. So again, it's going to affect the AI of your party. Now, TMRs are going to change a little bit once we have a stat stacking that Japan just got, but for now we have to be really careful to not waste stats on someone that is already getting them from other pieces of equipment. Similarly, I just got access to Greed Armor, which is a super cool TMR. It's got really good HP, defense is always fine, and then accuracy is really useful. But my Victoria has the aim lance for the ice lance, which means she already gets accuracy from there, and she's already getting better defense and slash resist, which is super important against Orlando from the Iron Plate. So while she might get more HP from this, I'd rather her get that defense and then slash resist, so I'm not actually using this right now at all. And then finally, you've got your weapons, and I don't want to discount these because they're pretty important. This is a pretty good example of a TMR weapon because the attack is quite high, but often you're not going to be that lucky to get that attack. It doesn't have many other stats, but what a lot of these TMR weapons have is they have confusion, or it's not confusion, but they have a status effect granted, so they can actually do status effects on swing, which is very, very cool, and that's something that I'm looking forward to with Ryryu's TMR. Okay, so here's where the planning comes in. If we take a look at my units, I've got a few that I'm trying to get to max limit break, and that's going to allow me to get some new TMRs, but they're 2 URs. So Mediana is at 111 out of 200, so it's not bad, but it's still going to take a few weeks of buying shards and doing her hard quest. Ayaka is a little bit further away. She's at 80 out of 200. So this is where I have to start making decisions on my Visiore. If these units are featured, do I want to buy up their shards to focus on their TMRs? I'm actually quite happy with where they are competitively. Mediana I don't use in PvP, so she's great as a farmer as is, and Ayaka is really solid at 89 as a healer, so I don't really need them to be 99 for my purposes. It's all about whether or not I want their TMR. Another wrench in my plans is Mashery, who's kind of one of my favorite units, and I'd really like to awaken her, but it's just not worth it at 5 right now, so I'm kind of holding off. But she's also got a really cool TMR that we'll take a look at in a second. So there's a lot of options that I have to kind of pick, like, do I want to buy up these shards every week in the weekly shop? Do I want to get them when they're featured? And you have to think about this, because what's the alternative? Well, it's saving up for a new unit like Wall, or possibly something a little bit further down the road for me, maybe FFT2, the second event, or possibly something else fun down the road. Okay, so at this point I've got a flashy slideshow to show you to kind of go over my options and what I'm going to decide to do. So we've got Balo in the middle there. He's really keen on me getting his Forest Armor TMR, but I'm not so sure that's the best choice, Balo, I'm sorry. So first of all, Ryu, I have him at 173 shards out of 200, so I'm just going to do his hard quest for his Moonless Gun. The reason I wanted to bring that up is because it's a really cool TMR. It's got the chance to inflict blind, which I'm going to definitely want to use with him. I've been raising his faith for PvP, and I've already noticed that he is leg-shotting tanks and they're getting stuck on the cliff in Wastelands and they can't get down into the fight. It's really funny. It happens every couple matches. It's definitely way more consistent now that I raised his faith, so I'm super excited to see how it goes with this chance to inflict blind. The one thing I do get with this gun though is a huge drop off on attack. I get the evade, which is nice, and it's going to be good if I build an evade hat, which I am for the bonus, but the attack drop off is pretty significant from the Ras Al Gathi, so you do have to trade off with these MR TMR weapons. So he's in the works. So next up we have Yishtola, and I really want to bring this one up because this is possibly one of the biggest mistakes I've made in the game so far. So for the tower, I did not have her. I had her Awaken 4 and Max LB, and she was not useful to me because she didn't have her White Mage Holy and her healing, and she just didn't do very much damage. But the other reason why I regretted not maxing her is for the Nightseeker. I kept telling myself again, oh, the magic on this rod is just not as good as the rods that you can craft. Well, let's take a look at the rod that I'm using with Mediana. Oh wait, it's the level 30 staff. So what happens is you think you're going to craft something better and you turns out you don't have time to do that. So this whole time I could have had a much better staff for Ayaka, for Mediana, that would have really helped out during the flan raid, during the tower, etc. And then I would have had a better unit for the tower as well. So this is definitely a very strong consideration for me. I'm definitely thinking about maxing her now, because while I have some healing staffs on the go, I still think that this is going to be a good investment overall. So this is one of my options. Next up, I have Sosha, and I'm really interested in her. I've got her max limit broken. I just have to awaken her. So the investment with her is going to be the rainbow shards. And I like her boots quite a bit for multiple reasons. I like these SR TMRs that have 11 defense. I think that's a pretty good stat for not as much work on your armor, but it's also an accessory, which means you can have other types of armor on. If you had like an evade armor, if you had a second accessory, like possibly you have an accuracy Alexandrite ring, well, now you've got some defense, you've got some accuracy. This actually gives you some accuracy as well, but it also gives you ice resistance, and kind of pulling up these little bits of resistance gear is good as well. And I just really like accessory TMRs, especially without abilities, because then you know you can equip them safely onto your units. We're gonna get a new unit tomorrow, or depending on when this video releases, then maybe he's already out, called Tyrel, and he's a really interesting unit. He's a water unit, so I'm very interested in him as well, because he's a knight, and that also we just don't have that many water units. And he's also got a pretty sweet accessory TMR. You're getting starting to get my my preferences here, right? So this also has HP and accuracy, and it has critical, I guess that's critical rate. Is that evasion, or is that the critical hit rate? Either way, I think that this is a really solid TMR to grab, and then it's going to coincide with me getting another character up to 99. So again, this is something that I'm strongly considering, although I do like Sosha's quite a bit as well. And then finally, we're taking a look at whether I should just be spending my Visiore on shards whenever I can for Ayaka and Mediana if they come up in the Whimsy shop. And it just totally depends on their TMRs. So Ayaka's TMR I was actually off on for a while, until I realized that it was not a piece of armor. I wasn't aware that like boots aren't armor. So this is an accessory. It's got okay HP, it's got spirit, which is really nice to have on an accessory to pair with a tank that maybe has some defense armor, so you can get them some magic defense as well. It has agility, again a really solid stat, and then it has critical avoid. I guess that answers that was critical hit up on Tyrel's TMR. And then finally, it also has an ability. So Purify reduces damage taken by 20% when it's maxed for 3 turns on the targets that it hits, and it can also kind of use a little Asuna effect. It costs a lot of TP, so I haven't really seen this in action. I'm very curious to see if this is something that people will use in PvP preemptively or not, because I think it could be a really cool tank ability, although it could stop them from going forward, which is what you want. But I'm really excited about this if I do go for it, but I might end up doing the long game and just get it via hard quests eventually, and save that Visiore to build my character base. And then we have Medina. I got chewed out on YouTube for calling her Mediana. That's my fault. I'm the worst. And she's got the Kaleido Moon, which again, we've got some spirit, we've got accuracy, which is something that Medina needs. So this is a hat though, so it is going to collide more with your other pieces of gear. It has a really killer ability though, Luna Verve, which increases your acquired AP, it increases attack, increases your magic. So this is really solid on something like somebody like Ramza, but obviously this is good on pretty much anyone, because they're either going to be attack or magic, or both, and they're going to need AP, because AP is pretty important, I think. But this actually buffs everybody around you too. So the first time I ever saw this in action was during the Flan raid, and I was super impressed by it. So this is definitely something I'm interested in, but again, I'm really tempted to just go for the long play for it and eventually get it. And the benefit is that I can get another UR at some point, and hopefully even max them, which is going to be really important for me to keep up in the guild that I'm in. As Cabbage has said in his video, videos, the guild maps are going to get more and more specific, and it's going to be hard for free-to-play or minnow players like me. I guess maybe, I don't know if I'm Dolphin or not. I've spent like $60 to keep up with those really high level guilds, because you need to be able to kind of adapt your party, because you can't put a suboptimal party into a guild battle at the highest level. You just can't do it. So I'm definitely going to need to be saving my Visiore for new units. And then it wouldn't be a mashery video without the Homer pick. So we've got Mashery, and she's actually pretty compelling. Like, this is a good maxed unit for two reasons for me. One, I like the unit. She's just really cool, so I get that out of it. But then she actually has a really solid TMR. It's got defense and spirit. It has critical avoid. It has some decent HP. This is going to be a really nice piece when abilities or stats stack. And then it also has a very nice active ability that costs 42 TP called Knight's Blessing. It reduces the damage taken by 30% for 3 times, and then it also restores HP. So this is going to go in a range just everyone beside you or on either side of you. So I'm actually really excited about this because again, I think this would be a really cool ability on a tank, so they could use that, especially in this current guild map. This would be insane if you use this when your party's all bunched up and then you're getting hit by AoE or something, so you're either healing or you're reducing damage or both, and I think that this would be just such a cool TMR to get. So part of me wants to go hard on Mashery if she's featured again soon, but then again, I really do think that I should save. So I do want to come to a conclusion here. I want to come up with a plan that you can hold me accountable to as the viewers. So here's what I'm going to say. I am going to, this is like pending getting somebody crazy on a free pull or something. I'm going to save my Visiore. I'm not going to spend on shards for any of my URs that are LB4. I'm going to wait for them to hard quest their way to max, and then when the free pulls come every day for 10 days during the FF1, we'll see what I can get. If I get wall, then I'm obviously gonna just go hard on that, and then otherwise we're gonna reassess then. So that's actually not till the end of the month. It's the end of July and start of August that's gonna happen. So I think that's a good goal, to hold off for now, reassess then, and I can always accelerate my plans at some point if I really need to. We are gonna be getting a ton of Visiore soon from a bunch of different sources, so it is a smart time to save, because you can pick a target off in the future, and even if you're really low on Visiore right now, you have a very realistic chance of saving up enough Visiore to get that target that you want. And if we're looking at long-term targets, then I think Mustadio is probably the next one that I really want, another Homer pick, although I hear he's quite good as well. And honestly, I don't really know who else I would go for, but there's new units coming up all the time in Japan, so we'll have to see. So thank you so much for watching. I hope this video was useful to you. If going through my thought process hopefully helps you with your own planning for your accounts, and if it didn't, well, you know, tough luck. So we'll see you next time, and we'll talk in the comments. Thank you so much for watching this video. You can show your support with a like and subscribe, and by checking out my Patreon at patreon.com/MasidiaGaming. Until next time, keep it real, Masidians.